Hey everybody, happy Monday. Since I'm always saying it's with your experience and my expertise that we work together towards a healthy mind and a healthy body, today I wanted to invite my close friend Allie to share her inspirational story. I've known Allie for a very long time, and she has such great advice to share. She's going to walk us through how she knew she needed help, how hard it was to get that help because her family didn't believe in mental health treatment, and how she overcame all obstacles in order to do what she knew was best for her. So this is my good friend Allie, and she has graciously made time for us because I really think that she has a great story to tell, and I wanted to give her a platform to share it. And what better way to do it than on YouTube?
Hey!
And if you guys don't remember, if you haven't watched my Draw My Life from like eons ago, I talked about how I was a sales rep for a while, and that's how I met Allie. I used to call on her office, and we became good friends, and have more stories to share that we won't about Stagecoach and extravaganzas. But we'll save those. But we'll save those that's a whole nother video.
That is a whole nother video.
But today I wanted to talk a little bit about your experience with mental health, mental illness, especially she works in a psychiatrist's office, just so you guys know that. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, because you grew up in LA.
I did literally, good old-fashioned South Central. Mm-hmm. Went to Crenshaw High, so C House. Yeah.
And was mental health ever talked about?
It wasn't. I grew up in what some would say is a, good old-fashioned African-American household. Mm-hmm. When there was an issue, we go to church and pray about it. Mm. You know, if you're sad about something, you pray about it. You talk to your mom, you talk to your aunties. If you're a little bit too much of a crybaby, you're a drama queen.
Oh, so even if you're sensitive, things hurt your feelings, they're like,
okay,
come on,
tough it out. Mm-hmm. Come on, you're a big girl. Stop all that crying.
Yeah.
And that's how I was raised. So for the longest, I thought I was crazy. I did. I thought I was crazy. I thought no one understood me. And I was labeled a crybaby. I was labeled a crybaby and sensitive and don't joke with Allie. She gonna be in the corner crying. You know what I mean? And then things like that.
Just make it worse.
Almost made it worse because now it's like, oh God, I can't even be upset about whatever I'm going through.
Yeah.
So that's how I was raised. And it doesn't mean that my family wasn't supportive. They always were.
Yes.
They've always been
a wonderful family and huge support system.
Huge, abnormally so. But it was never discussed in the context of mental health. Maybe she needs to see a therapist.
Okay.
Maybe things like that. So that was never discussed when I was younger.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then flash forward, I know all the answers, but I'm going to pretend I don't. Flash forward to, I guess, maybe 5 or 6 or 7 years ago. I don't know when, but when did you realize that maybe you should see a professional or even understanding what that was?
It wasn't until, I think when I started working at the psychiatrist's office, it's been 10 years now. So I started in 2009. And it has been 10 years. Yeah, I'm like, oh God, it has been 10 years. It's 2019. And I would see the different patients coming in, young, old, black, white, orange, green, everything with every different issue. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when I learned what they were going through, I'm like, wait, that's called depression? I always thought that meant you're a crybaby or you're just a drama queen or things like that. So that's when I started to educate myself on it. Mm-hmm. Once I started seeing what I was at work. Yeah. So it was really my office. And seeing these aren't crazy people. It's everyday everybody.
Yeah. From
teachers, doctors, mothers, fathers, students. Yeah. Just literally everybody. Not just ugly people. Beautiful,
we
everybody.
have an idea. I think there's a lot of that's kind of the stigma, right? Is we assume that mental illness looks a certain way when it doesn't discriminate. It's anybody, everybody. And now that you've recognized, at that point when you're like, oh, so that's depression, huh? Mm-hmm. Did you look at your family and be like, oh?
Well, a conversation was had. Mm-hmm. So my mom's older sisters, and I can say this because they're totally okay with me discussing it, I talked to them about it because my mom passed away back in 2010. Mm-hmm. So it was something that I've never talked to her about. I never got a chance to. Mm-hmm. So I talked to her sisters, and then they explained to me about my grandmother, who would literally go into the room, close the door, and be there for days and not leave. And remember that there were 7 of them. Mm-hmm. So they just knew mommy is going through whatever she's going through, but they never knew what it was.
Because she never talked about it.
She never talked about it. She never had a therapist. She never had a psychiatrist. Mm-hmm. Gammy is what I called her, would check out. She would go into her room, lock herself in there for days, they said. And then they were all kind of raising each other, taking care of each other. Yeah. And so when they explained that, made me cry. I'm like, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
You know, this is real, you know?
And it's genetic. We know there is a genetic component. It's
For
not all
sure.
that, but there's
For sure.
you can always track it back.
Yeah,
You're
for sure.
oh,
And it made so much sense.
Yeah.
It made so much sense, you know? And, yeah. And then you know my story, how my mom became a quadriplegic when I was 12. So between all of that,
And I say the stress of that and the
stress of
grieving.
that, all of that, learning to take care of my mother 100%, learning to become more independent. It you know, and then also dealing with regular being a 12 and 13 year old.
Which is the worst.
We're little witches just because it's Tuesday.
It's true.
So dealing with all of that, you know, my aunt, she told me once, we went because it was at a time when everyone was busy. Everyone had kids. Everyone had going on, the adults in my life. I mean, my aunties, uncles. She said she wished that they had maybe got us into some therapy then. Us being my twin brother and I.
Yeah, especially not only are teens, it's a teenage time is shitty and horrible, but going through the stuff with your mom, that's a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot. And I wish we had done it. It would have been so helpful. Because again, I have a huge family. They were supportive, but just that extra stuff. You know what I mean? The being angry.
Yeah, and
I
being
was
able to
so mad
of course.
at everybody. I was mad at everybody I knew. I was mad at my twin brother. Why doesn't he have to change mommy's diaper? You know?
Yeah.
I was mad at maybe an auntie. Why isn't she over here taking care of her sister? Why is daddy working 2 jobs? Well, duh.
Yeah.
He has to work 2 jobs because mom
can't.
is like this. But when you're 12 and 13,
You don't get it. It seems unfair.
You don't get it.
And you're like angry at the world and God.
so I'm angry
Yeah.
at everybody. I'm sad. And I'm just this nutcase in my head. I feel crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's how a lot of us feel though, because especially if it's not talked about, we don't have any words to explain. That's why when people say like, oh, how do you talk to your kids about it? I'm like, exactly like you talk to anybody about it. Because we don't know anything.
Right.
So there's no judgment or stigma. Kids are like, oh, depression. So you're sad. Got it.
Right.
It's,
yeah.
You know, and that would have been that's so helpful for you.
Well, the word ignorant has been bastardized to be this mean word. But But it's a real word. The term, you know, it means not knowing.
Yeah.
Like I'm ignorant to fixing a car.
Yeah. Same.
I was ignorant to mental health. I was ignorant to verbiage such as depression and what it meant.
Yeah.
You know? So I had to become educated in it to help myself, to encourage friends and family. And I still, it's a daily struggle. It's going to be, I hate to say forever, but you know.
Yeah, it's like
it's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing. And so when you finally started to see someone, what was that like?
She's funny because she knows the real story. So I had well, I guess we would call it a pretty bad episode. I don't remember the year. This had to be
2015, 14.
15. This is And the doctor I was working for, he said, hey, he was seeing it already. He kind of was seeing it coming on. He had saw my mood change at work. And I was still functioning. That's another thing. There's so many functioning people.
Oh, totally. We talk about all the time because people assume it means you're
No, I was still going to work. I was still
damning.
kicking ass at work. Okay, I was still being amazing. But you can, people who knew me, you know, especially the doctor, was seeing it. And he suggested, hey, why don't you call this man? I'm like, okay. So I call the man and I make an appointment.
And he's lovely, by the way. I really love him. She'd asked me about him, and I was like, I like him.
Yeah, and she did. Yeah. And so I walk into his office, and I said, and there sitting in the chair, you have this little short, older white man with glasses. I'm talking older as in like 70s. And I'm like,
completely white hair.
Why the hell would I sit here and talk to this man? What is he going to be able to tell me, a 20-something-year-old African-American woman who grew up in South Central, whatever I'm going through? So I literally walked in with an attitude. I did. I walked in.
Never.
I did. I walked in. I said, oh, Lord, I'm about to waste my time with this man. And I promise you, 10 minutes into the conversation, I'm like, you get it. I'm not crazy. All I had to do was explain to him how I was feeling, what I had been going through over the years, and he got it. He made everything I felt make sense. I explained something, and he helped me to understand what I was feeling, and it just was the best experience of my adult life.
Yeah, and that relief.
It was a relief.
Like that weight that you've been carrying.
It was like,
you're like,
oh my God. It was just the talking, someone who doesn't know me, who is unbiased, who can tell me when I'm right and wrong.
Which is so helpful. I think that's why therapy is helpful for me, because people are like, why do you need to see a therapist? I'm like, Because I can't do it to myself. Because I always say that I win or I'm right.
Right, hello. I'm Team Allie. So, so sometimes you gotta have somebody drag you back.
Yeah.
She's done it. I went back to an ex-boyfriend once, and Katie was, all right, girl, look here now. This is what we're not gonna do. And you need people, whether it's a therapist, whether it's a good friend, to be 100% honest and say, this is not gonna work. This is not it.
Yeah.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
And here's how we can fix it.
And I love you enough to tell you you're wrong.
Yeah.
In the therapist sense, I care about you enough to tell you that you're wrong.
Yeah. And so you stuck it out. You still see him?
I do not see him anymore. And that's just good old fashioned insurance change and things like that. And, so I did start seeing someone else within my network who I did love as well.
Okay, good.
And it has just been a life-changing experience. To this day, it's almost a safety net. You can talk to your therapist about things, whether it's relationships, whether it's work, whether it's finances. It's somebody unbiased who can honestly help you sort through the things, give you coping mechanisms to deal with some of it. Because life is hard.
It's hard.
Life is hard.
And it's always changing. That's the thing.
Always.
As soon as you get comfortable, something else happens.
Exactly. If it ain't one thing, it's going to be another.
So
that's why I like the term coping mechanisms. To deal with coping things. We don't have to let everything make us spiral downward.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a new issue. Okay, how do I deal with this in a healthy way?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
I like it. It's like you're watching my videos or something.
I mean, you get to turn Katie on sometime when you're brushing your teeth, just let her play. We got to tell them the story about when I was in the airport, too.
Oh, yeah.
About that one time.
Okay, well, I want to finish up this because I'm curious, did your first psychiatrist recommend medication? And were you nervous, or how did you get over?
Yes, and yes. So he did discuss an antidepressant with me, and I was very hesitant. I was. And it also, for me in the beginning, it didn't help that I worked in a psychiatrist's office. I'm like, I'm not one of my patients.
Oh yeah.
I don't need to take this. and I tried not to. And then it got bad to where I, had another bad episode, and then I went ahead and tried taking it, and it was almost immediate. It was creepy how quickly things started to change, how my mood started to change. So, and thankfully, I never had any side effects. I mean, the whole part of psychopharmacology, sometimes you have to play around with what works for you. What works for me might not work for her, and vice versa. But I didn't have any negative issues or anything like that. But I did end up taking an antidepressant, and, it changed my life. Yeah. I was super happy. Not happy because of the medication, but just happy because I was finally feeling better. Yeah,
you felt like yourself.
I felt like myself
without
again.
That burden and the
I stopped being embarrassed. I stopped being ashamed because it was at one point I felt embarrassed. I'm like, dang, I can't function like a regular person without medicine.
I know. A lot of people think that and feel that way. Yeah. Because you're like, but would we say the same? So I always push back. I'm like, would you say the same if it was like heart medication?
Touche.
Like, would it be embarrassed because my heart doesn't quite beat regularly? Like, you'd be like, no, of course you're going to take that. Like,
exactly.
And it's no different. Right?
Exactly.
I don't know why, but it's funny because we do think about it differently and talk about it differently.
We do, yes. But it is a condition or a medical issue. It is.
Yeah,
100%.
That's why insurance covers
cholesterol.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, and thankfully the laws changed with insurance because before it was harder to get appointments at a psychiatrist's office because of pre-existing conditions. And when all of that changed, we were able to see people without that issue, without, having to deal with the pre-existing condition drama and all that jazz. Yeah. So that was really good.
Yeah. Yay. And so by going to this, like going through your own process and like learning about it and coming to your own realization, do you think over this time things have changed like in your family with your support system? Or do you think it's opened conversations up?
500%. I've had it where I've had, my aunt has come with me, different aunts. My cousin has come with me, literally. And it's become a thing that's, like I said, not embarrassing. There was time, I've been pretty good for a while now, but every now and then if I get a little down, hey girl, you call your therapist lately? And it's totally not weird. It's totally not you're the weirdo in the family.
No, it's like, I'm noticing you're not yourself.
Yes.
Let's get you some help.
It's totally accepted. Even in my church life, they talk about it. My pastor's wife is a licensed MFT.
Oh, hey.
Yes, exactly.
I love it.
So it's definitely becoming more and more discussed. there's the stigma around it is becoming less and less. You see celebrities talking about it more often now, and again, in my personal life, it on the contrary, everybody is so supportive. It never ceases to amaze me. It never ceases to amaze me. I don't feel uncomfortable. I'm open any situation. I encourage young girls I meet, women my age, like, girl, get your therapist. It makes a difference. It makes a huge difference.
And so if looking back, obviously, like telling people to get help earlier, is there anything else you wish, like friends of yours or cousins, aunties, like what they could have done to make it better for you at that time? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I know what you mean. And I think, but the answer is the one that you just said. It's, let's discuss it earlier.
Yeah.
Let's see the signs and start encouraging each other and working on it now. Let's not wait until someone's in their 20s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To discuss this. Let's make it okay. I support you. You want to go to a therapist? You want to go with you the first time?
Yeah. Want me to help pay your copay?
Yeah. Want me to help you pay your copay? It's a real thing.
Yeah. And if
it's a real thing.
Because that can be the one thing stopping you.
It is the one thing that stops a lot of people.
Totally.
Let's not be uncomfortable to discuss uncomfortable things. And finances is always uncomfortable to discuss.
Yep.
So
pair that with mental health.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, hello, it's the perfect storm. Okay,
it's like, nobody
it's the perfect storm.
Yeah.
But yes, that's what it is. You see the signs of someone, and we don't have to embarrass people. Let's pull you to the side. Hey, girl, I've been thinking about you. Noticing you looking a little, down lately. Want to go for coffee? Let's talk about it. I got some suggestions.
Yeah.
There was one girlfriend. I said, you know what? Can I see your insurance? I'll call for you.
Oh, you're so nice.
And get a list of the doctors and email them to you.
Oh.
So stuff like that.
Yeah, ways to help out.
Let's stop ignoring it. We see it. We know our friends and family. We know
totally.
it. The kids, you know what I mean? Not saying that every kid, is something. But if you notice something specific about that one 10-year-old all the time, hey, let's talk about it.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's not ignore it.
No, sooner the better.
Let's not chop it off to maybe, she's just a drama queen 13-year-old. It could be something else.
She's too sensitive.
She's too sensitive.
He's too sensitive.
Yeah, all that. So that's what I would say. Just acknowledging it earlier, paying attention to the signs. If you don't know, educate yourself. It's so much information out there.
Oh, it's so much easier to access.
It's so much easier now.
It's not like you have to go to Encyclopedia Britannica.
Hello?
You can just Google some stuff.
Yeah, you can totally. You can look at Katie's page.
Tons of videos.
The big one.
Oh, so the story of the airport then. Let's not forget.
That was so cute. It was red eye. So it was literally like the middle of the night.
Were you flying east?
I was flying east. I used to go to DC. I used to go to DC often. My best friend lived there. And
now she's here.
Now she's here. Hey, Daphne. And so what happened? Oh, so you're half asleep in the airport, not paying attention. And then I start hearing Katie's voice. I'm sitting here like, why do I hear my friend talking? And so I turn around. And behind me, and this teenager girl is sitting there watching her YouTube videos. I'm like, it's my girl. And so then I text Katie in the middle of the night, Katie, I'm in the airport and this girl is watching your videos. And it was just so cute.
It was so cute.
So cute.
She's like, she probably thought I was crazy.
She did.
So if you're watching, let us know in the comments. Because that would be really cute.
That would have been super cute. That would be really cute. So it was so nice and it makes me so proud. And it's also helpful to have a friend that there's nothing that she doesn't know that I can't talk about. Absolutely nothing, and I definitely encourage us to surround ourselves with friends and family who support everything, good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah, agreed. We need people in our corner.
For sure.
Because life is hard.
Life is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing your story.
No problem.
I hope that helps some of you because I think there's a lot of different stigmas and different cultures. People grow up in a whole different way of thinking, and a lot of us, it's important to remind ourselves of that.
For sure.
And to know that having a support system is important and talking about it early.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Take care. Bye.